Wake up, Troom. Cyberpunk finally released. Many of you have probably wiped it from your memory, but Cyberpunk 2077 CD Projekt Red's Dark Future released exactly 3 years ago. It's been 84 years since release, and oh boy, do we have a lot to talk about. There are a few success stories for those who have shit the bed on release and came back. Cyberpunk is now one of them. Well, sort of. Before we get into the new hotness, let's take a look at what exactly changed and why Cyberpunk is hitting a bit different now. And I can promise you that I lied, because it's kind of the same, but that's not a bad thing. While playing, I still had frequent crashes, wacky physics, flashing textures, the whole shebang. As I have preached for many years now, Cyberpunk 2077 was indeed a game release of all time, but there was a good game hidden in there somewhere. Patch 2.0 just made it something finally worth talking about. There was a minor bump in interest when the Edgerunners anime released back in forever time. But that was not enough for a gamer such as I to go and revisit a unfinished product. Depending on the player, a lot of the improvements were minor changes that you couldn't really see unless you're looking through the smallest magnifying glass. Wait. Those are patch notes. Vsauce. Michael here. So it was just my luck that while in the middle of editing this video, CDPR released a patch that addresses some of the issues that I bring up later in the video. I played for about an hour more and probably ran into more bugs than I actually was fixed. So, you know, don't bombard me with the "actually this was fixed, Mr. Nate, okay, what do you do?" Also, as I noticed, I think everyone also got that explosion of achievements. I don't know what happened there. Maybe those were broken too. Anyway, that's all I needed to say. You can return back to Nethubius and the Call of Booty. I played about 20 more hours of patch 2.0 before the expansion just to see what was going on. A thick GTA-style wanted system, new combat AI, and a ridiculous revamp of the skill and perk tree. I'll get a bit more into that later. But first, let's talk about Phantom Liberty. But considering this is about the country of freedom, I'm just gonna throw something on really quick. America, America, America. All right, much better. Yeah. Welcome to Dogtown, a city of no rules, gangsters, mercs, and rundown shitholes, blocked off from the rest of Night City for good reason. CD Projekt Red once again has tickled us with their magic fingers, albeit it doesn't compare to the scale of an expansion of something like Witcher 3's Blood and Wine. It's more like a weapon attachment for Night City rather than an expansion of it. Your main adventures through the DLC largely take place in Dogtown, however, you're not limited to just there. Many of the newer side quests and gigs have you traveling between the two. The main storyline of Phantom Liberty is deeply rooted in themes of espionage and Metal Gear Solid starring Idris Elba. The NUS president, special agents, assassins, the Cuban mafia, and political guinea pigs. V is on another desperate path to disconnect Mr. Silverhand from his own body. Dick. This time, your prime contact is Songbird, the very guinea pigs that I was mentioning earlier, touting the title of being the best netrunner in all of the NUS. She promises that she has the solution to V's problems, which reside safely deep within Dogtown in the form of an AI hidden beneath its very soil. Oh, brother, here we go again with the AI storyline. Beep boop beep boop. I'll kill you. As always, there is an abundance of beautiful scenes and intimate interactions with all the characters and environments, on top of the incredible voice acting. That is until my game proceeded to crash multiple times in a row in the same gameplay session. I know it's been 3 years, but look, man, at least they put in the effort to make it better. Obviously, it's nowhere near as trash as it was in 1.0. Your immersion will only break occasionally now. Don't be surprised at the amount of broken quests too. This game is still so frail you could snap it like a pencil. There was one particular quest with one of the police officers named Bill, and he was a prime suspect of this. It was permanently locked off for me, locked in this like garage door with no way of fixing it, until I found out later, which is loading a save before I accepted that quest. While I'm at it, I'm gonna want a little bit more like the little piggy that I am, what's up with the weird inordinate amount of time that some quests take to progress, especially the last quest where you're waiting for Songbird? If you go to Google the name of a quest and think it's a bug and get immediate results, I think there's a problem. But the sweetest part of Cyberpunk's comeback is the gameplay changes, mainly that perk and skill system that I was talking about earlier. Man, it makes the game so goddamn fun now. Both the trees are fucking loaded with not only percent increases, but unique unlocks too. But let me give you a little hint. Take your reflex and put it up to 9 and then unlock this middle skill path. You'll thank me later. Along with the improved cyberware, you can build some very interesting combinations of builds. Your base stats are the starting point, which helps you progress further into each respective tree. Some tanky melee builds, or going full netrunner, going around and hackermansing your way around every single section. It's all there for the min-maxers out there. Way more variety than what I was expecting from just a simple revamp. I heard through the grapevine that driving cars were improved compared to bikes, which I do agree with. I had a bit more fun Tokyo drifting around Night City. Bing, 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 bing. Phantom Liberty adds quite a few new activities that improve the gameplay loop of open world quests. Car deliveries that have you travel between the various sectors of Night City, and some new little dungeons that include exploring a cyber psycho den, and it has some unique loot at the end, and even maybe some new gigs that you get from Mr. Hands or El Capitan. Even though there isn't direct player choice that affects these side quests, I'm still happy that the side quests even got some love there, because there's actually more backstory behind all of them. Introducing unique characters and enemies that you could actually sit down and talk to rather than, "Hey V, I need you to ice this guy." They really play around a lot with their strengths of strong characters and well-lit landscapes. It's such a breath of fresh air that I'm actually interested in what they actually have to say, unlike some of the fucking doofuses I talk to in Starfield. The UI has been holistically improved, less so the form, but more so the function. Everything is more spiffy and organized, though there is a surprising amount of bugged situations where there is just no music at all. It's kind of like an XCOM percent chance when you launch the game, so your chances are very high whether or not something goes wrong. Massive spoilers incoming, by the way. I want to talk about the main story a little bit. The story of the expansion has me feeling a little confused about the entire story. Reed is a very complicated character to me for various reasons. He's introduced as this badass, complicated character who you should be watching out for because he's so cool and badass. Eventually you learn the reasons behind the actions he takes and the relationships between the various agents that you meet. While I still enjoyed the story mostly, I feel like I was expected to care more about Reed than I actually did. But maybe I should care because I should be thinking about Metal Gear Solid and Idris Elba and the Suicide Squad. Maybe the duality of options within the base game endings left me with a mirage of true freedom. And when presented to side with Reed or Songbird, when I probably would have wanted to choose my own path with V, it felt a bit limiting because throughout the story I couldn't really trust either of them. Yet I had no hesitation with choosing Songbird's idea because it beat Reed's idea 9 times out of 10. He showed immediate results with V by blocking out Silverhand by interacting with the relic somehow, which they never explained, so don't expect an explanation for that. Something in me truly connected with her struggle of feeling trapped with no escape in sight. It was almost as if we were expected to follow that path with how it was written. One weird thing is that the writing seems to really want you to side with Reed, because if you do choose his ending, you get like 4 to 5 more hours of content, including a lot more backstory for Reed and Songbird and where they came from and started. Compared to the Songbird ending where you send her to the moon and the game kind of just ends after that. I can't help but feel that his option was the preferred one. When you think of good storytelling, you think back to games like New Vegas or The Witcher 3. Your actions directly affect the game's world and characters. But in Cyberpunk, it seems so hell-bent on sticking to its sad, drippy, droopy, gloomy storyline that your actions don't ultimately matter whatsoever. Side with Reed, you get a bit more storyline, but it still doesn't change the base game ending. You side with Songbird, same thing, it doesn't really matter ultimately.
Everything. All we did. It was pointless.
After Phantom Liberty, you just go back to the main game, and it's almost as if expansion just didn't happen whatsoever. Unless you decide to call on Reed in the main game ending. So, you know, the overarching pressure of war between corporations in Night City ultimately results in absolutely nothing happening. But screw that Cyberpunk 2077 Doomer type beat. Fuck you. A bright neon colored example is the fact that the relic in V's head is only important when the story wants it to be. Have any of you ever noticed how only in the final missions is when the relic decides to spontaneously combust in V's brain? I feel like you never actually feel the weight of V's eventual death until the meeting with Alt and Johnny in cyberspace. Although minus the few writing decisions I disliked, the characters and the settings are just as strong in the DLC as they are in the main game. I honestly truly was invested in the cool covert missions and sneaking around in high security mega buildings, meeting the various higher powers controlling the House of Cards of Night City. Although after replaying the ending of the main story after the DLC, they both feel eerily similar. Phantom Liberty has a stronger end mission, especially if you choose to side with Songbird. That sneaky raid mission on the fucking airport is dope, man. Leaving me on the edge of my seat the entire time. But once again, in the end, V is the one getting betrayed, trapped in his path to annihilation. Yeah.
The world of Cyberpunk is brutal ass-eating fucking sand.
That has to hammer down nails that stick out. But that doesn't make it good. And I'm not saying that I necessarily want it to be happy either. More so I would like a consistent variety between the two. If everyone is a backstabbing, selfish little prick, then no one will be. Therefore, I declare that the wife ending with Pan Am or Judy to be the most fitting for V as a person, even if he flatlines eventually. Of course, his mind needs to change because clearly if the knowledge is known that Night City chews and spits out everyone who enter its borders, maybe they should realize they're smart enough to fucking leave. I quite enjoyed the harsh truth of the main game that no matter what V did, his fate was sealed. He was gonna die regardless of what he did. But for the DLC to come in and basically redo the main storyline again, giving the hope that V could be saved is kinda lame. Phantom Liberty probably should have been something that you did after the main story so that the time you spent in it doesn't feel redundant. Speaking of that mercenary, maybe it's just me, but by the middle of that expansion, I came to a revelation. A hot take, some would say. V is arguably the worst character in the game to me. Every single other individual in Night City is so well built with very particular aspirations. Then here comes little old Vincent, a backstory turned mercenary with a childlike dream of becoming a legend in Night City. Yet at the same time not realizing that the man lodged in his brain, Johnny Silverhand, is the epitome of what achieving that dream actually means. By the end of the game, even Johnny learns when to let go. Nothing is totally under his control, no matter how much he struggles to change fate. Maybe V is written like that so that the player is the one in control of what they want V to do. You know, they have to be able to role play the game, you know? It's in the genre name. But don't get it twisted, this is clearly a huge positive for Cyberpunk because everyone loves being tricked into believing that they had a choice in the first place. Which is why I still highly recommend Cyberpunk 2077, not only because it's a game that actually functions longer than 5 minutes, but specifically because it's a genuinely good game now, filled with amazing characters, a beautiful world with really fun, improved combat. However, I again must warn you, it still has some really bad and unique issues that really shouldn't still exist, especially when it has to do with the main story. No comeback is perfect, but if you missed the absolute train wreck back in 2020, then 3 years later you can witness the comeback full Final Fantasy 14 style. Thank you guys for watching. I'm probably going to play Bayonetta or something. I feel the urge to simp coming on again. Take care everyone and subscribe for more.